In this video, we're going to cover data blending. And the reason is everyone is always asking me about data blending. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to do data blending. So let's go. All right, here we are in Excel, and I'm going to show you the data set. If you want to follow along, the file is in the description below, so feel free to download it. And I'm going to show you two sheets. So let me just show the other one as well. Let's have them side by side. All right. All right. So we have the two sheets right here. So you got two different data sets, but they're kind of related, and they're related by this case ID. Okay, so the question really is, what is the difference between, or like, why don't I just join these data sets using a standard, like, SQL type join, right? Why do I have to use blends? So what we're going to do in this video is, instead of just showing you blends, we're going to do a comparison of why you need blends sometimes and why you need joins sometimes. So what we want to be able to do in this analysis is bring them together, however we want to, and then all I want to do is sum up the values. Okay, so if I look at this, the total value, let me bring that up a little bit higher. The total sum is 7,749. If we look at them for individual cases, it's really the sum of this one, the sum of these ones, these ones, these ones, these ones, and these ones, right? So you can see each one has 3 stages, and we want to sum them up at a case level. Same thing is for this one on the left. We want to sum up this, this, and so on and so forth. So let's try do that with a join and then do a validation to make sure we're correct. So let's go into Tableau. I'm going to bring in the data set. I'm going to rename this one join, and we're going to do a standard join. So let's bring in costing, and I'm going to double click this to get into join mode. You can see there's a square there. Let's bring status, and you can see the Venn diagram, and let's do an inner join, so everything that matches. And we're just going to do case ID to case ID. Go sheet 1. So let's see if we can bring it all together. I'm going to bring in case ID. We're going to bring in the acquisition costs. Acquisition costs. We're going to bring in the processing fee, and we're going to bring in the legal fees. And then we're just going to add in the actual labels. I'm just going to press this button up here just to cheat, so I don't have to bring them in individually. And those are the values. This is very important whenever you design anything. Always validate your data to make sure it's going in correctly. I see this happen so many times that people get too excited doing the Tableau side. They don't validate it. So what would happen is they think it's correct and they start doing stuff, and then something fails along the way. Like, for example, you're writing a formula and this comes out some weird number, and you're trying to figure out where the issue is in Tableau. But what actually happened is just loading it. That's where it happened. So it's harder to find where the issues are. So please always validate. And it's so simple. No need to make it complicated, right? It's just a few simple spot checks. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a few pivot tables. I'm going to close one of these. Let's do a pivot table. So I'm going to insert pivot table. Let's just bring it here, and I'm going to bring in case ID, processing fee, and acquisition costs. We have it here. Let's compare. I think I got these the other way. This is acquisition and then processing fee. So let's just reverse that, just so it makes sense. And let's see if they match. And I kind of already know that they won't. So you have 5,901, 1,967. So already incorrect. And if you go down the list, you can see none of them match. Right? You look at the next one, processing fee, 8,832, and this is significantly less. Now this is why. You have two data sets, right, that are what we call, in terms of joins, there are many-to-many relationships. So without getting too deep into that, where's the new sheet? I want to bring them side by side. Okay. What that means is when you try and join them using a standard join, it's going to go, all right, let's start with the first one. I want to connect into the other table as many times as it matches. So it's going to go boom, boom, boom. So actually what happens is that one will duplicate 3 times. And then what happens? It goes to the next item. And it goes boom, a boom, a boom. So it's very easy to calculate how many rows you end up generating. It's simply the number of case IDs multiplied by the number of case IDs. 4 times 3 is, that's right, it's 12. Very good, right? So what happens is you've actually duplicated this 3 times and you duplicated this 4 times, right? Which is not good, well, along those lines. So we can confirm this. Let's go back into Tableau. And if I go into view data, just this button right here, we should be able to see for this first item, 10480, that there are 12. There we go. So it's actually duplicated, and it's very easy to see it as well, because if you look at this acquisition cost, it repeats like that. So this is wrong. And what can happen is, especially for very large data sets, you're thinking, oh, wow, look at our legal fees. Man, we're spending 25,000, but actually it's a fraction of that. And I've seen this happen at corporate level, and these are big mistakes. So you always want to do the validation. So now let's do the blend and see what comes up. I'm going to go new sheet. I've got join. I'm going to bring that data set in. We're going to do a brand new data source. Drop that in. I'm going to go costing, and instead of going into join mode, we're going to go into status. Go into blend. You can see the line is different. That is now blend. There's no Venn diagram there. It's related via the case ID. You can close that, and let's go into sheet 2. Now let's do the exact same thing. So I'm going to go case ID. We can go acquisition cost, processing fee, and legal fees. Let's have a look at the values, and now let's have a look at the result. So let's go into here. Let's start with this one. So this is the acquisition cost. So you can see now it's correct. 1967, 2825, 2825, and so on and so forth, right? And the next one is 2,944, 4,231, and so on. And then let's also check the other one. So this is now the legal fees. I'm going to do a pivot table again. My face is covering all the buttons. Hang on. Let's go case ID, legal fees. Okay, now let's compare. So you can see side by side 1620, 1620, 801. So what we've actually done is we have we've preserved the granularity. We're not creating duplicates or anything. Now before, like, I don't want to say back in the day, before blending was really before I really knew it very well, I would have to do all sorts of things to make sure I didn't accidentally create duplicates. So blending helps us do that by not creating those duplicates. And the way it kind of does it, if you want to get into a bit more detail, is when you do a query. Okay, a query is anything that you create. You're querying the data set. It's querying the data set separately, and it's deciding after how to actually visualize it. I know it's a terrible explanation, but when it comes to a join, it's joining the data first, and whatever that result is, that's what you're querying. As opposed to this one is that keeping it separate, and whatever you're building, it's going to pull whatever it needs to, and it can preserve them as 2 separate data sets. And the way you can see that is if you go to this view data button, you'll see here at the bottom, there's still 2 separate data sources. They have not been combined. So if you look here, this will match what it says in Excel. Exactly. The exact same structure. It has not altered by accident. So what I recommend is whenever you build something, start with a join, because joins are very easy to understand, very easy to test, even for more complicated systems, and then validate it. If the results are coming out correctly, cool, stick with the join, But as soon as you start seeing duplicates are created, or you start getting really weird visualizations, like things aren't popping up, that may be time that, okay, maybe I'm gonna start looking at blends or something like that. If you want to go into more detail, or you have questions or specific examples, feel free to get in touch with me through the comments. Drop me a like if this helped you do blends. And until next time, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. So I kind of went roundabout. So yeah, I'll stop talking now. Bye.